Great art always holds secrets. And I'm not just talking about the stories in the paintings, but secrets hidden in the very bones of the work, in the dust and the dirt that give it color. Sometimes the real story isn't in the image at all, it's in the earth itself. So, I want you to picture a world-famous painting, one you've probably seen a million times. What if I told you its most important message, its biggest secret, wasn't in the subject's eyes or the artist's brushstrokes, but in the actual dirt it was painted with? Okay, here it is. This is Albrecht Dürer's famous self-portrait from the year 1500. It's one of the iconic images of the Renaissance. I mean, look at him. He presents himself as this creator, almost like a divine figure. But the real genius here, the big statement he was making, went way beyond just the image. To really get it, we need to uncover a little Renaissance secret. It's all about a choice Dürer made. A choice that was a shout out to the ancient past, and at the same time, a huge declaration about his own home. So what's fascinating here is that Dürer actually limited himself on purpose. He was inspired by this legendary ancient Greek painter named Apelles, so he decided to use a very simple four-color palette. But here's the kicker. The crucial choice wasn't just which colors he used, but where he got them. He made his pigments from the earth of his native Germany. This was such a powerful move, right? He's blending these huge international Renaissance ideas with a really proud local identity. He was literally rooting his art and himself in the soil of his homeland. Okay, hold that thought. Now let's do a massive jump forward, 500 years and halfway across the world. We're going from Renaissance Germany to modern-day Taiwan, where another artist was wrestling with a very different but also surprisingly similar question about art and identity. Meet artist Hung Hao-Lun. One day, while he was teaching about painting materials, he had this huge epiphany. He realized there was what he called a historical blank in Taiwanese art. For centuries, artists on the island had been making incredible work, but something was missing. Think about how we talk about color in European art. We have sienna, which comes from Siena, umber, from Umbria. The names themselves tell you a story about the land. But Hung realized that in Taiwan for 400 years, artists had pretty much only used imported pigments. There was no Taipei tan or Kaohsiung ochre. The colors being used to make the art were completely disconnected from the color of the home. And this is where Dürer's 500-year-old idea comes roaring back to life. Hung saw the parallel. He totally understood the power of local, the power of making art not just in a place, but from a place. And get this, both artists, centuries apart, embraced the same creative challenge. It's called the tetrachromatic palette. It's basically a four-color palette. You're only using the basics, white, black, red, and yellow. It strips everything else away. When you limit your colors like that, you're forced to become a master of the things that are left, form, light, and shadow. Hung Hao-Lun has this perfect quote about it. He said, "Limitation is freedom, using limited materials to embody the spirit of infinity." And that's the whole philosophy, isn't it? It's not about what you lack, it's about what you can create with what you have. It's about finding something universal inside something very specific. So, inspired by this whole idea, Hung set off on this incredible journey. He decided he wouldn't just paint with colors, he was going to create them. He was going to turn this abstract idea into a physical reality. So, in 2013, he started the Taiwan Primary Colors project. The goal was massive, but also incredibly simple. To do for his home region of Nantou what Dürer had done for Germany, to create the very first comprehensive color palette made directly from the soil and natural materials of Taiwan. And let me tell you, this was not easy. It was this meticulous, almost alchemical process. He was out there collecting soil, rocks, even eggshells and willow twigs. Then each material had to be carefully washed, filtered through screens, refined with water to get just the right particle size, then completely dried out into little cakes. And only then could he grind them by hand into a fine powder, ready to become paint. And the result? It was a palette that reads like a map of his home. Rock black from the shale in Zushui Creek, red ochre from the gravel on Bagua Terrace, vine black made from charred willow twigs. Each color now had a name, a source, and a story. This is it. This is the result of all that work, a whole spectrum of beautiful colors that weren't born in a factory, but from the actual land of Taiwan. These aren't just pigments, they're the literal essence of a place, transformed into art. So now, with this incredible one-of-a-kind palette in his hands, Hung was ready for the final step. He was ready to close that 500-year loop and start a direct conversation with the master who inspired him in the first place. He took his handmade pigments, his rock black, his red ochre, his shell white, and he painted a self-portrait. He adopted Dürer's pose, that direct gaze, that seriousness, creating this powerful echo across all that time and space. So just remember Dürer's masterpiece, an artist defining himself with the materials of his homeland, and in doing so, declaring his place in the world. And now, Hung Hao-Lun's portrait. 5 centuries later, an artist filling that historical void, defining his culture with the actual substance of his home. It's a conversation across time, painted in dust. So what does this incredible story, this dialogue between 2 artists, 2 continents, and 2 whole eras really tell us? What's the takeaway? Well, it proves that the most powerful art often comes from the most specific places. Dürer's German soil didn't make his work small or provincial, it made it universal. And Hung's Nantou earth doesn't limit his art to just Taiwan. It gives it a unique voice on the world stage. It turns out the most local materials can express the most international ideas. Ultimately, I think both of these artists teach us the same thing. To find your place in the big, sweeping story of global art history, maybe you first have to find the color of your own home. By digging into the ground right beneath their feet, they both managed to reach for something infinite. And that leaves us with one last thought, doesn't it? I want you to look around you, at the soil in your garden, the brick of the buildings, the clay by the river. What stories are they telling? What is the color of your home?